Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about uniforms and uniform XP, because since Infinity War we got 10 new uniforms. We've been busy trying to rank them up, and of course a big part of that involves leveling up the uniform from 0 to 100 in order to get to the next rank. And so I've had tons of questions. How can I farm uniform XP? Where's the best place to farm it? How can I farm it faster and accelerate my progress? So I wanted to give you all of the information that I've been able to collect scouring the internet and also my own back catalog of historical events to give you a breakdown. Now, in general, there are some good things and some bad things about XP for uniforms. The good thing is that they are all equal. That means regardless of the cost of a uniform, whether it's 750 or 1050 or 12 whatever, for the newer ones, they all have the exact same amount of uniform XP. There's only currently one uniform that costs more in terms of the actual base experience to level up, and of course that is the big bad Thanos uniform. So for the purpose of this video today, I'm not going to be discussing Thanos' uniform because in my mind he is the exception to the rule. So all of the numbers that you see, all of the kind of general guidelines that I give you, or the rough estimates in terms of times that it will take to farm, the grinding aspect, you're gonna have to multiply that by 2 for Thanos. It's pretty insane. Now the regular breakdown, the most easy thing to look at is actually the amount of XP that you need. So every single uniform besides Thanos requires this much XP at each rank to level up. So you can see it's pretty decent. It's about 10,000 for normal, 16,000 for advanced, 27,000 for rare, and then it doubles to 48, almost 49 for heroic, and then it's almost 94,000 XP from legendary to mythic, which is a lot. That's where it starts to get pretty bananas. Those last 2 steps from heroic to legendary and legendary to mythic are when it really starts to get pretty brutal. In addition, I'll just briefly mention that the uniform upgrade kits are the difference, one of the main differences between 750 uniforms and 1050 uniforms. That's not the XP, but it is another important aspect of that, and I'll get into why it's important later. But in terms of the uniform upgrade kits, there's 2 different paths that you're going to take. If it's the cheaper uniform, it goes 20, 30, 60, 120, 220, which is a total of 450. And then if you have the more expensive uniform, this is the kind of level 2 or the second tier of uniform costs, which has become the norm for most characters. You have 30, 45, 90, 180, 330 for a total of 675 uniform upgrade kits. And of course the gold goes up. Of course the bios go up from 620 to 930, so almost 1,000 bios needed for the new Infinity uniforms each. And if you just take the 8 that we have for the non-Black Order characters, that's almost 800 bios. So it's a big chunk. And of course you got to multiply that even higher for Thanos because it gets even bigger. But in terms of the XP, we now have to look at where we can get this XP from, because in total you need just under or just over 195,000 experience to get one uniform from normal to mythic, of course excluding uniform rank up tickets. So where can you get this uniform XP from? Well, you cannot get it from dimension rifts, and that's why I wanted to mention the uniform upgrade kits briefly, because requiring more uniform upgrade kits puts more of a strain on your XP farming for uniforms, because you can only get uniform upgrade kits primarily as a farming currency from dimension rifts. You can get them from Shadowland, you can get them from some other limited reward systems, but this is the most consistent place to find them in. And unfortunately, whether you clear ticket this or whether you run it manually, you will never get uniform XP from it. It's kind of unfortunate. I wish they would offer uniform XP maybe at half of the regular rate, because as you'll come to find out, the regular rate is not very great. Now, the easy way to remember how much uniform XP you'll get from a mission is how much alliance or shield level XP the mission will give you. So it's pretty straightforward in that sense. To break it down a little bit further for you, everything from chapter 1 to 10 will give you 100 alliance XP or 100 and 100 shield XP. So that means it'll also give you 100 uniform XP, which means you'll need to run 100 story mode chapter 1 to 10 missions to get a uniform from normal to advanced. It's pretty bad. So you have to do it 100 times. Seems like a lot, yeah. In addition, you have daily missions, which will also give you 100. Special missions, which will also give you 100. So chapter 1 to 10 daily and special missions are all exactly the same. For the epic quest missions, they also give you 100, including tracking missions. So those are all equal to the chapter 1 to 10 missions. And then finally, the only better place to get XP from in terms of farming gameplay is chapters 11, 12, and 13. Because the mobs are higher than level 60, for whatever reason, they decided to offer 160 shield level XP or 160 alliance XP, which also equals 160 uniform XP. So the ideal place to farm for any kind of uniform XP is chapters 11, 12, and 13. For difficulty, I would recommend staying on chapters 11 or 12, although chapter 13.3 is particularly fast because it only requires one enemy to be beaten, which is the Anti-Man boss. Now, he's not very easy, but if you can find a character that can solo him quickly, you can run out a lot of these missions very fast. And you're going to want to find a fast mission to farm because in total, running for the 160 XP missions, which are these chapter 11, 12, and 13 quests, you're going to need to run 1,220 times to build up 195,000 XP. That's a lot. It gets better, but it's pretty bad right now. So in total, that would take you 41 runs per day if you played this for a whole month. And of course, if you wanted to do it faster, you'd have to do more runs per day. But less than 50 runs, more than 40 per day to get a uniform from normal to mythic in a month. And that is not even counting the amount of energy that you would need. It's not even counting the amount of energy that you also need to expend at the same time to keep up your uniform upgrade kits. So it's a pretty brutal calculation once you get all of the numbers running at the same time. Of course, you're getting XP hopefully for 3 characters at once. If you do something like I did, where I build a team where all 3 characters are benefiting from uniform XP at the same time, I recommend you do that and build a specific team for that. But in addition to that, if you want to kind of min-max a little bit better and you don't want to worry too much about the time, I would recommend to choose a level that you can farm A, without dying, because dying is going to slow down your progress immensely and waste energy, and B, that it's going to give you some uru that you want or that you need. So I've been running a lot of chapter 12 for the crit rate, the chapter 12.3 for the crit damage, and then I also run a lot of 11.8 for the HP, and then again 11.4 for the HP. I don't run 11.7 or 11.8 just because while I do have certain characters that can clear that, I can't always consistently clear it with the characters that I need uniform XP for. So I don't want to struggle. I don't want to carry one character that doesn't need uniform XP with 2 that do. I think that's less efficient overall than all 3. So I'll just get those separately. And now, of course, you cannot clear to get these missions and get uniform XP. It doesn't work like that. You don't get regular shield XP, or you don't get Alliance XP. Actually, you do get Alliance XP for that, but you won't get uniform XP for it, so you have to run the mission. Whether you're using it on repeat or whether you're just running it manually without wasting clear tickets, it doesn't matter. So you also have the risk or the challenge of actually having to have your phone on or your device on for a long period of time. So that's another kind of downside to this farming method, although this is the cheapest. Technically, it's the free method of farming, and you do get uru, you do get upgrade kits. Sorry, not upgrade kits, gear up kits, and Norn stones. So there are some other resources that you get, so it's not a total throwaway just for the uniform XP. But it's a lot of uniform XP that you need. So what kind of shortcuts can you give yourself? Well, unfortunately, none of the XP boosting items in the game currently work on uniform XP, and I see this question a lot, so I did want to address it in the video. There are Alliance store purchases for the shield booster that will only work on your shield level, not uniforms. The XP booster for your characters will also not work on your uniforms, and then there's 1 or 2 in the store. They will also not work on your uniform XP. This one over here, none of these will work, unfortunately. Hopefully in the future, maybe after this video, Netmarble will release a buff with the same cost here, 365 crystals, that will boost your uniform XP by 2 times or 3 times for a day. I would love it. I think it would be fantastic. They could make money off of that, and it would make the community happy, because if you wanted to accelerate your progress, you could. But right now, we really only have 2 other choices besides the straight up grind. Now, personally, I have been grinding a lot. I've been running about 20 to 25 story mode missions on those chapter 11 and 12 stages that I showed you with that team, with Captain America, Corvus, and Killmonger. With this method, since the update went live, I've been able to get Captain America up to Legendary with 25%, which I'm pretty happy with. I got Corvus a little bit higher because I used some XP chips, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's definitely possible. If you have the time, if you have an emulator on your computer, it's even easier because you can just do, click that while you're doing something else like work on your device. But I understand that it's not for everyone. So if you want to accelerate your progress but you don't have that opportunity, you're going to have to play a lot of Shadowland, because Shadowland is where you're going to be able to get level 3 uniform XP chips. There's no level 4 XP chips, I believe, and then the level 5 XP chips for the uniforms are only sold in the store, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for the level 3 XP chips, they give 470 a pop, so it takes 22 to get from normal up to advanced, 35, 58, 105, and then almost 200 of these level 3 chips to get a uniform to Mythic, which is a lot, but I've been able to save up almost 700 because you do get 50 level 3 uniform XP chips every week in Shadowland for completing all of Shadowland. You got to complete stages 26 to 30. Those last 4 stages are where you will get level 3 XP chips in 10, 15, and 20 increments that will allow you to level up a uniform. But it is an expensive process, but this is definitely the fastest way to go about it. Some other ways that you can generate XP chips if you really want them for your uniform is the boost subscription. Believe it or not, along with regular XP chips, level 5 XP chips, I did calculate when I ran boost points for a month. It wasn't with the boost point subscription because this was before it existed, but what I basically did was I purchased about 3,000 boost points up front, and then I used them about 500 boost points per day, and I tracked my overall rewards to see how good the boost point system was way back when it was introduced. I can't remember how many updates ago. Anyways, one of the items that I got a lot of was level 1 and 2 XP chips for uniforms. Now, of course, they're not level 3, they're not as good, but a little bit counts if you really want to squeeze every last inch out of your uniform XP. So that is another option for you. Finally, we have the store purchases for level 5 XP chips. Now, level 5 XP chips are extremely expensive, so please keep that in mind. I'm not quite clear on how much they offer in terms of XP per chip, so if someone knows in the comments below, please fill us in, because it would help in order to gauge the value of these level 5 XP chips for the uniforms. I don't know because I've never purchased them, so there's that, but you can see here that with this almost 3,000 crystal purchase, you're only getting 20. So I imagine it's similar to what Netmarble has done with the regular XP chips for characters' levels, where level 3 chips give very little compared to level 5 chips. I don't think the gap is as large as it is for the uniform because that would be outrageous, but for example, the level 3 chips give 675 and the level 5 give 30,000, so it's probably not that insane in terms of the comparison or the kind of 1 to whatever 10,000 ratio, but it's probably much more worthwhile if you're going to be investing heavily in that. So if you do really want like the super ultra boost to your uniform XP grind, this would be the way to go. Of course, it's going to cost you money. Of course, it's going to cost you crystals, but that's kind of the sacrifice you have to calculate that you want to make. Do you want to give up your time, or do you want to give up your credit card statement and your crystals? So that is the overall farming method and XP required for uniforms. Hopefully that helps you guide your time and gives you more direction on where you want to go, specifically the chapter 11, 12, and 13 missions. Otherwise, you're just getting 100 flat from everything else in the game. Let me know what uniforms or uniform you're working on right now to get to Mythic if you have one in mind. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.